And now something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The Hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727 is the toll-free number. Give us a call to talk about anything and everything hair loss. That's what this program is about. It's the Hair Loss Show. And I want to welcome all of you guys for our Friday edition of The Bald Truth. As we always say, you know, we try to do between 2 and 2:15. I got on about 2:20 today. Well, a little sooner because we put the stay tuned situation up there. But Friday is normally a tough day for me and has nothing to do with the hangover factor. It is more about the fact that everyone wants to do interviews on Friday, whether it's physicians or the mainstream media. I was just interviewed by the mainstream media this morning. That was supposed to be a 20-minute interview, ended up taking an hour and 10 minutes. What seems to happen is, and I don't know why this is the case. I guess it's because no one has the courage to tell the truth about this fucked up industry. But what seems to happen is they speak to the physicians, they speak to the so-called experts, and then they end up wanting to get some balance and some information from, you know, the American Hair Loss Association and from me. And then when I start telling them about the reality of what's going on in all aspects of the field, they're like, really? How come, you know, these physicians didn't describe how things are happening? I'm like, because they need to make money. That's what they don't want to scare people off.
That's right.
So they will tell you that there are tremendous advancements in this field, that the technological advancements are like nothing we've seen in decades. And while I will admit that there's some interesting advancements, such as robotic-assisted surgery, such as, you know, some of these other devices that are coming down the pike, some of these different tools that are being developed by physicians themselves to help with the extraction of, you know, FUE, follicular unit extraction, hair transplant surgery. Very few specialists in this field, real honest experts, will tell you or tell the press that these advancements have had any significant impact on the overall quality and overall experience of today's hair transplant hair transplant patient. Frankly, a lot of these devices are really more for the surgeon in the view of a lot of experts, and maybe in my view as well. And as far as creating a easier environment for the patient to be in, you know, maybe it's possible that it seems a little less invasive, but I don't know. I would say a manual punch or a really good motorized punch could accomplish the same things, especially if people are expeditious and, you know, they're really good with their hands and able to keep the tissue out of the body for shorter amounts of time if they have the right staffing. So when I'm asked about the reality of new technology, I haven't really seen anything new that has affected the outcome as far as, you know, extraction type of devices. That it has affected the outcome in a truly like groundbreaking way in 20 years.
Because there hasn't been any.
Yes.
That's why you've seen it. I mean, where we are today, which is pretty, you know, I can't imagine it getting much better because, I mean, hey, everyone's getting high 90 percentile survival rates and growth rates. How much better can it get?
Well, that's actually a good point, but that's what they're saying.
No, of course.
Yeah.
But they were also saying that 15 years ago when they were first starting out with this.
Right.
And, what I can say, being involved with the industry as I have, I can say that it's obvious that things have been improving, but like you said, there's nothing that's been groundbreaking. The only thing that was actually groundbreaking, I think, was picking up a punch and doing FUE.
Yes.
That was it, right?
Right.
And then everything from there on, and little baby steps and micro improvements that built up to where today we are drastically different than we were 10, 15 years ago.
Sure.
But those were miniature steps that kind of built up into one giant improvement over time. Nothing has come out since the first guy picked up the punch that made any difference overnight. Absolutely. You're 100% correct on that.
Well, it surprises the media when I speak about this, because everyone is marketing technology and they're marketing brands when it comes to this industry. I'm all for advancements in technology. I'm all for anything that's actually going to make things, if it makes things easier for the physician, then in turn, if the physician is skilled and has a skilled staff, then in turn, it will make things easier for the patient. And it can potentially impact outcomes. But there's only a handful of physicians and surgical teams that know what the fuck they're doing. So no matter what device they are using, they're going to make the patient experience better because they understand how to make that happen. But those who get these devices, who don't know what they're doing, who are simply being trained by product manufacturers and then kind of just let loose on the public, like with any device, whether it's a handheld punch or a scalpel, real disfigurement can happen. And the possibility of that happening is very real. Yeah. So the shock on the other end of the phone when I'm speaking to these journalists, it's just like it's an epiphany for them, because they've been told essentially all just marketing points, talking points about whatever device or tool or technique that is being used.
Yeah.
And what's sad about that is this is then regurgitated online over and over and over again. I saw a video yesterday, and guys, we'll take your calls in a second. 888-659-3727. How's my hair? Okay, it looks good. I saw a video yesterday, and it was a video of a physician, an older gentleman who had just had surgery, then he was a week out of surgery, using one of these devices. And he was convinced, and this is a doctor, that the technology was so superior. And because he had a relatively simple, what he considered to be a non-invasive or less invasive procedure, simple healing just by virtue of FUE, that this is the way to go. And this is what's being marketed out there. Now, I'm not saying it's for the good or for bad, but even physicians are being
bamboozled?
I don't want to know. I don't want to use that. I don't want to use that word. I didn't say it. I didn't say that. Even physicians are being, what is the word that I want to use that's not going to seem offensive? Let's just say leveraged.
Good one.
To market brands and devices as opposed to actual techniques. And even physicians are not fully informed enough to know that everything they just said is not necessarily clinically true.
Accurate.
Yes, accurate. Thank you. And so this is what I have to say to consumers who are considering having hair transplant surgery. it's nice to see someone's post-operative experience. Joe provides that information for you guys. It's nice to see, all of the, the inner workings. It's nice to get information about their comfort level and how relaxed they are. But if you are going to have surgery based on an endorsement from someone who had surgery, who's never had surgery before, but who has had surgery a day prior or a week prior, you're a fucking idiot. That's it. And frankly, it is my suggestion that no one trust any testimonial unless they are a full year out. So the way that I think things should be produced is produce all this great content about their experience and then wait 6 months to a year and then produce some more content and see if this motherfucker is as happy as he was the day after surgery.
That is fantastic advice, because even my own case, the one I started documenting, 9 days ago, we don't know how it's going to turn out, people. Like, just because I went to my old doctor and he's got a great reputation and he's had a great record with me so far, this could fall apart before your very eyes.
All of a sudden, it's it's infection time, or I doubt that at this point, or just I only got 30% growth for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But at least you'd be able to explain why. At least patients would be able to understand that this is a possibility. But when it comes to these product manufacturers, and I get it, I understand why they're going this direction. This is what they need to do, and this is what, if I were detached from being, giving a shit about the consumer, and if I was working for this company, whatever company that may be, I would go in that direction as well. I mean, I'd go a lot heavier, and it would be a lot more nuanced, so we'd really be able to kill it. But that's the direction I would go into. But, we're not selling fucking tires here. We're not selling cars here. It's great that you had a wonderful experience at your fucking Hyundai dealer and that, so-and-so made everything so smooth. You're probably going to end up having a decent car for a long time. But this is surgery. So if you're making a decision based on these types of online promotions, you're a fucking idiot. That's all I'm going to say. And I'll keep telling you guys this, but I can't make these decisions for you. You have to either listen or you have to be the idiot. If you choose to be an idiot, I can't help you. I mean, I could try to help you get repaired and send you another direction and say, you know what, you fucked up. But for anyone out there who's listening to this broadcast, whether it's through Stitcher Radio, iTunes Radio, who's not watching us through Joe's Facebook channel or through The Bald Truth or through GFQ, who may be new for the first time, who's considering having hair transplant surgery and going on fucking YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and seeing all these fucking directly post-operative testimonials, just go right by them. Don't even fucking pay attention to them because they don't mean a goddamn thing. It's a fucking trap. Want to take a call?
Let's do it.
Right. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
So, I don't want to be an idiot, so I'm listening to you right now.
Good, man. Don't be an idiot. Listen to The Bald Truth.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. My name is Rolandas, and I'm actually from London.
Welcome.
UK.
Hello,
Thanks so much for the show.
Well,
good to have you.
I recognize you, of course. What's going on?
Well, got a couple of questions. I never had a transplant yet. Still deciding. Still on the research. Let's say, been researching for like 8 months extensively. And actually, because of you guys, I decided to jump on Finasteride finally on Propecia. So thanks so much for that.
Oh, by the way, you need to preface that for this woman who wrote me and other people. We are not pushing finasteride. We're just giving you our experience. We're not physicians, and you made this decision on your own, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Perfect.
People are fucking crazy. That's all I'm saying. They are fucking crazy, and they think that we are somehow pushing people, to making them so insecure that they have to stay on drugs, as opposed to what our real message is don't do anything if you can. Stay away from anything and just move on with your life. That's the best option. But if you're like us, or like me at least, there are options to potentially help you.
Well, yeah, I wish I could have your hair at your age.
If you bring up my age one more time, I'm going to hang up this phone. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm much younger. I would say I'm 27. So if I can say,
hang up, just hang up.
No, 27. That's a good age, man. That's a good age. I've been dealing with a 24-year-old recently, and all I can say is I feel sorry for you young guys.
Right.
Thank you.
As far as well, I can't speak about that at this juncture. But anyway.
Yeah, so I actually I started using minoxidil before that, like half a year ago, in conjunction with Dermaroller. So I started slow, like in 0.5 millimeters once a week every Sunday. Then I went to 1 millimeter, now 1.5 millimeter for like around, I would say, 2 months. I've seen some good regrowth, and I'm actually surprised because I'm roughly going on the way to Norwood 5 scale. So a lot of meteorizing hairs, so like in the mid-scalp, hairline is just gone already. And yeah, it regrew quite a lot of hair in the mid-scalp, but I was scared literally to take finasteride for like a long time. I knew about it like for a few years, but once you start doing your research, checking forums and lines, and just, scares the shit out of you.
It does, man.
So,
stay off the fucking forums.
Yeah, stay off the forums.
Just, yeah. And I started actually listening to like a couple of weeks ago, but a lot, like literally 3-4 episodes a day. So learned a lot and decided to give it a try to finasteride. I've been so far just 2 weeks, and I decided to start very slowly. And I'm taking Propecia, not generic, but the brand name Propecia, and I'm cutting in pieces. So it's basically like 0.25. 250, and I'm taking only twice a week, Monday and Thursday. My question is basically, what do you think is about this basically regimen? Is it good enough? Should I up the dosage?
Only you can answer if it's good enough, because like what's your experience so far? Has it stopped your loss? Has it reversed your loss to any degree? Are you having side effects? That's the criteria of whether or not it's good enough. Because some people want to stop it once a week, twice a week. We can't answer that for you.
Well, so far I cannot tell much because I've been only 2 weeks. So literally
2 weeks. Okay. Yeah.
One.
Right. So how do you feel after 2 weeks?
Well, so far so good. Didn't see anything basically. Anything bad. Might be good, but it might be again oxidil, so can't tell. And I was just.
I think at this point, just stay the course. Like if you're happy, at that, I'd say stick with it for at least, I don't know, at least a while, just to make sure that you're not going to experience any of the side effects that you're afraid of. And then, I would say there's nothing wrong with moving up. I'm not a doctor, but I would say there's nothing wrong with moving up if you feel like you want to experiment with that. But my recommendation, my advice would be to don't go up and down. Only go up and hold steady at every increment that you move up for at least a few months at a minimum, because you want to know if it's actually going to do something beneficial, not just if you're going to have side effects or not. So if you're going to start out at a lower dosage or lower intake frequency, and you want to move up based on your the way that you feel about it, you need to do it slowly. Now, I do have a formula that I've talked to people about or an approach where if you want to ease yourself into it, then if it's strictly because of the side effects issue, then yeah, you can up your dose sooner. Once a month, you can up your dose as you feel like you're not experiencing any sort of side effects, or as you're learning that you're not having any side effects. At that point where if you do have any sort of side effect, you can hold the course for a while to see if it dissipates, or back off to the previous level that you were taking it at, or the intake frequency, to see if that gets rid of the issue for you.
It's called the Tillman regimen. You can find it on NCIB.
That'd be funny.
Actually, that is not true. And it's funny. As many times as we have had to say that we're not doctors, we could have become doctors. That's the reality. As an adult, to me, going back to school would be fucking simple. They make such a big deal out of it, like it's the hardest thing. You got to spend so many hours. Try being an entrepreneur from the age of 18. We had no books. I had no books. I had no guidance. I had no path to fit.
No blueprint.
There was no blueprint. You want to become a doctor? Yeah. You have to be smart enough to retain the material just for the test, by the way. Doesn't mean you got to retain it for the rest of your life, because a lot of these guys don't. And all you do is have to pass your exams. And then, obviously, do your residency and work in a hospital. Oh, big deal. You're working on a little sleep? What the fuck do you think that I did? At least you're around people.
Yeah.
You're not sitting at home trying to figure it all out and having to actually maintain a work ethic when no one's watching. That is hard.
That's the most difficult.
Absolutely.
Spencer, what were we talking about?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, so Finasteride.
I totally got off track.
What?
Yeah. But that's a good thing about being 54. I can do whatever I want.
Good for you.
Yeah. I could just say, get off track. I can fall asleep right here in front of the mic. But if I did that, people would start to blame Propecia. So.
Definitely.
Yeah. But listen, I think that Joe's suggestions, obviously, are correct. I am a person who just does intermittent therapy once per week. I take 1 5-milligram dose of finasteride once a week. Every doctor that I've spoken to doesn't understand how it's possible to work, but if you go on the theory of front loading, like if you were, taking any drugs, including, let's just give, for instance, Latisse, for instance, or bimidprost. I really stuttered. Bimidprost. You're told to take it every day and to use it every day until you basically have your desired results. And then you can cut it back to once or twice a week to maintain those results. Now, why wouldn't that happen with other drugs that you're taking in your body, even if the half-life is relatively short? Logically, it makes sense. I was on this drug for 25 years. So I want to put as little of it in my body as possible and kind of just let it ride out. And kind of, my levels kind of go up and down throughout the week. And then I kickstart it once a week. And I have been, I would say, more than moderately successful. While I have lost ground and I have to use more paint, for the most part, it's held on pretty well. So I think what you're doing is probably pretty good. And again, what you need to know, like Joe said, it's up to you. You're the only one who could judge how well you're doing.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want overall guidelines, let's say, maybe from your experience. You obviously have a lot of experience, both of you guys. So, and actually there was another question in terms of, let's say, if I would have a hair transplant, and some of the doctors, they're recommending actually to get off finasteride prior surgery, let's say 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. Is there any particular reason for that? Some of them, they don't suggest to do that.
Are you sure it's finasteride, or they're saying get off of minoxidil? Because there's no medical reasons I'm aware of to get off of finasteride before a procedure.
Yeah, never heard of that.
Yes, finasteride. One of the doctors that I was actually strongly considering, and I'm pretty sure you heard about him, is in Turkey. Again, it's Dr. Demirsoy. and that's what he suggested to me. If I would like go for surgery, stop all medications, even like multivitamins, a couple of weeks
Well,
prior.
multivitamins, I understand, and other, like non-steroidal anti-inflammatories and all that shit, aspirin. But finasteride, it makes absolutely, in my layman's opinion, it makes absolutely 0 sense. That would be one drug that you want to stay on, because the worst thing a doctor wants to see is for you to go through, after your surgery, an exacerbated telogen effluvium.
Right.
That's what I was concerned, because if, let's say, I'm starting now and after like a week, a month, or 2 months, let's say, I get a surgery, and I get like shedding. So the doctor does he gonna think that we need more grafts, even though they could possibly native hair could grow in there. So it was kind of confusing for me.
Well, there's no, again, not a doctor, but there is no medical logic to not staying on finasteride. As a matter of fact, most physicians will say, get on finasteride months prior, if possible, to your surgery.
Okay.
And a lot of physicians will just sit you down and say, you know what, let's see how finasteride works, come back in a year.
Yeah, one of the doctors actually on the consultation just told me, listen, I'm not going to tell you anything. Minoxidil is not enough, take finasteride, come back in half a year.
Yeah. So I don't know what his logic is. You can ask him specifically. Say, well, what's the logic behind this? Maybe there was some sort of, is it possible there was a communication breakdown?
Definitely. Actually, I remember now another doctor, which is in IHRS, Dr. Bhatti in India. I think he said that he wants to stop finasteride before surgery as well, so he can see where the better hair in the donor area are, as opposed that they're not affected by DHT. So he can harvest the best hairs. I think that was like some kind of a logic.
I have to tell you, that's interesting logic. It really is. And I guess the reason behind that is, finasteride obviously does affect the quality of your donor hair as well. That may be miniaturizing if you have that type of miniaturization. You sound pretty young for that, though. But, I honestly believe that I guess it would be hard if the hair is being held into, and grown into a terminal state in the donor because of the use of finasteride. But then it can miniaturize. But then I guess, what would the real difference be? Because you're going to be moving it anyway. And hopefully, if it's working for you, that hair is going to be held on by finasteride for a very long time. But I kind of get that logic. I've never heard of it before. What do you think, Joe, who's not listening?
No, well, kind of. I think that I don't know. I don't see how getting off of finasteride for 2 weeks before a procedure can make any sort of measurable difference that you can justify or quantify in any way.
Oh, it's 2 weeks? Then you can't. Yeah. There's no way. There's no way.
Is that what he said? 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. 4 weeks can be different doctors.
Or even 4 weeks. I don't. I'm not aware of any way to quantify it. Think about okay, so if you live 5 minutes away from the clinic and you can go in every day and have your hair measurements taken, and then you stop taking the medication, and every day you keep going in and they can search for micro adjustments. I still don't know. I think that look, I don't like to question what doctors that I like are talking about. I like Dr. Bhatti. I know him, but maybe he can explain to me why that is. But I don't get it. I don't understand, and I can't think of any real reason why that would make sense.
Okay. And what do you in general think about?
Especially if you're going to wait 4 weeks, because it's like then you get into the issue of, okay, well, then you have your procedure and then you start back on the medication, and then you got your potential effluvium that's kickstarted because of restarting after 4 weeks. It's I have a hard time understanding the logic behind it.
Makes sense, yeah. I mean, I was thinking the same way, so I was kind of confused, you know.
Yeah.
I was just curious. Do you know something about the actual Dr. Demirci that is in Turkey? I heard a lot of good things about him. I couldn't find any single bad, let's say, review, which is weird a little bit. And a lot of good reviews from like a different forums. But these guys are posting like, you know, after the procedure or all the way up to like 12 months. So I think they should be legit. I'm just curious, like if you guys heard about him something good or bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything that's come through, at least through the IHRS or the American Hairloss Association, that's been startling. Say that for me, Joe.
Startlingly.
Bad. Any complaints that we've received has been very similar to other complaints of, you know, any IHRS member.
Well, this guy is not actually. He's not in the IHRS organization.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you know, I haven't heard anything like out of the way really bad.
Okay, because I was impressed by him because he's doing by himself procedure. He's doing only one patient a day. He's doing the harvesting, doing the.
This guy's great. He's telling me that he's not in the IHRS.
I was waiting. Well, the first question I got to ask is: Have you asked if they're using microscopes for inspecting, refining, and dissecting the follicular units to separate the singles for the hairline work?
Actually, I did not, and that's a good question.
There you go. Are you seeing naturalness when you? I mean, it all comes down to, you know, aside from reviews and, you know, what people may or may not know, are you liking what you see when you look at the results? And are you using a critical eye that is being guided by what you've learned from me, from Spencer, from, you know, IHRS, from online resources that you can trust? That's what it comes down to. Can you look at everything that's coming out there and say, yeah, it looks like it was done right. You know, there's a nice natural looking design and shape to the hairline. The angles are flowing properly, which there's a video coming out on that shortly, by the way. You know, I mean, you got to use what you've learned and apply it to what you're looking at.
Well, yeah, actually, that's why I checked a lot of Turkish doctors only because basically of my budget, let's say. I know that's bad, but I'm trying to kind of sort better ones and worse ones. And so far, he was one of the best, let's say, having the best natural results, like no donor over harvesting and, you know, things like that. So I was actually considering, I mean, a lot. I even pre-booked the surgery, but then today I actually decided to cancel it. And it's a funny way, funny fact why, because I found the Dr. Baji in India and I checked closely, I looked at him closely, and then I've seen a couple of videos that the guy is having procedure with him, and the donor look like amazing. There is literally doesn't look like there was any procedure done. And I was like, wow, how is that even possible? Never seen that before. And there was like 3 or 4 patients like that. And then I checked closely what he does, how everything looks, the cleaning and reviews and stuff, and he's part of this organization. I was like, okay, I think that's much better than Turkey, I guess.
Well, I mean, listen, it can be, and Dr. Body has a very good reputation, and I know he's a very caring physician. Yes, he's a member of the IHRS as well. But the bottom line is, if you've switched like this, so you know, I mean, you made a plan to go with one doctor and made the switch already. To me, it still means you're not even ready.
Yeah.
You know, so take your time, research Dr. Body even more, see if you can speak with some of his patients. I know that Specs works with him, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. You know, speak to speak to Spencer Stevenson a little bit. You know, see as many patients as you possibly can that are not online. But, you know, even speak to them if you can. And, you know,
Okay.
and this way you could really make a truly informed decision. But, you know, if you're fully convinced, you know, you've done research for 8 months, you made a decision to have surgery, you scheduled surgery, and then you canceled based on, you know, continuing to do your research even though you made surgery, means you haven't done enough research yet. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but mainly I knew Dr. Body like for some time already, but it was just been bothering me that India is so just far. It's very far. So I was like, wasn't even looking properly into that area.
Yeah.
But then like, listen, doesn't matter where it's going to be in the world. And I kind of became more open-minded to this, and that's when I started looking more, and then I kind of like, it opened my eyes basically.
Well, good. Listen, man, we're going to let you go. We wish you the best of luck. Do not jump into it as you are. You know, you're doing more research, but research Dr. Body even more. I certainly think he does a fantastic job. He's been, you know, he's a very caring physician. You've seen his stuff online, but try to speak to some patients as well. It'll be helpful.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Good luck. Thanks for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. That is 888-659-3727. We do have some lines open if you want to give us a call. We are live doing our Friday edition of The Bald Truth. If we don't receive any more phone calls, we had the full board that hung up after our friend from the UK was on the line for a long time. So you feel free to call back. We will take your calls if the lights if you guys decide to light the boards up, we'll be here. And on that note, let's just go to Joe.
If not, then we have plenty of stuff to do off air. So
yeah, I haven't trained today yet. I haven't gotten to work out.
I haven't had my nap.
Yeah. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I didn't get to bed till about 3 o'clock in the morning. I've been working on some stuff. So I was out for a little bit. And then I had to get up early to do this interview. So I have to say that probably the most important part of my day now as an older gentleman is getting the right amount of sleep.
It's very important.
Life-changing.
Very important.
It is anti-aging. It is life-changing. You know, I've been, you know, working out a little bit harder than I have in a while, and I'm, you know, kind of getting back into trying to do some heavy lifts. And I'm noticing my strength just from sleep and eating properly, my intermittent fasting, has gone up exponentially. It's insane, actually.
You can actually get the bar off now?
I can do the full 45-pound bench press. It's insane. I can't believe it. I'm doing 10-pound curls now. It's like a dream.
Man, that is awesome.
You know, my vertical leap, I get at least 2.5 inches.
I can get off my tippy toes.
Yeah. Crazy. I can get up off of a chair now. No fucking problem.
The whole skit that could come from that would be hilarious.
All right, let's see who this is.
My workouts are nuts. I can actually stand vertically now.
I don't need any help standing. Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Louis from South Florida.
Louis from South Florida. What's happening?
How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good. You guys keeping up the good work. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
We are doing our best, but it's funny. I'm looking at some videos on YouTube, just looking at their numbers, and it's unbelievable. There's this one chick. She's a beautiful girl who's losing her hair. She's got 1.3 million views on her videos. Now, I understand why, but it's unreal. Like, you know, and they're talking about all types of different herbal remedies and all kinds of shit like that. When is the truth going to get that type of notoriety on these social media platforms?
It's incredible. It's really
boring.
It probably never. It's really frustrating to look at some of these platforms and just read the stuff that they're coming up with, and it's la-la land, and people just eat into it.
Now, this is a beautiful girl who's losing her hair. She has significant female pattern hair loss already for her age, and she's talking about it, and she has all the right emojis and all that stuff, which is great. But then you read the comments, and there are people telling her to use 50%, hydrogen peroxide and 50% some other shit and rub it on their scalps, and all this fucking, these witches brews and all these fucking lotions and potions, and then companies going out there offering her, laser things, and I'm sure she's going to start doing, I have to look at her feed, laser therapy and all this stuff. It's sad to me because I really think that this particular person decided to just document her journey, and she's going to be misled, and then in turn, she's going to be forced, or she's going to unintentionally mislead other hair loss sufferers.
It's crazy. And a lot of the stuff that they promote, these internet people and others, are stuff that is actually dangerous.
Yes.
Some of the stuff with the derma rolling with minoxidil mixed in, that gets into your blood system. That's not so good. That's got secondary heart effects and bad cardiovascular.
It can.
Contradictions.
It certainly can.
It's not just scarring itself if you're doing too much of it or doing it wrong.
Look, it's the way that it is. Now, with that said, I have seen some relatively impressive results with the right type of derma rolling, and more recently I've seen some good results. But it seems almost that the results are stunted. Like, okay, if you want some, like, underground, some vellus coverage, some visible change that might not have that much of an aesthetic impact, then I've seen some pretty significant results in that respect.
Right. I'm sure there's some, and who knows why there's results. Well, by the way, you have to follow a patient back and see what the deal was, why he had hair loss or her had hair loss from the beginning. But anyways.
Well, listen, it is what it is. I try not to get frustrated. The way that I look at it is, we help those who find us, and there's a lot of people that end up listening on the in-car online resources. They're listening to the broadcast. They're writing us. They're being helped. That's terrific. I guess what frustrates me is when I take a look at it, like Joe's channel, which is, he's doing an incredible job, and we're putting the show on his channel. Why isn't he getting 1 million views for his incredible educational series?
I think, Spence, you'll probably answer that by what you say a lot of times. He's in it for the long run.
Right.
And a lot of these guys are going to be in it for the short run.
Right.
Because, once you get off the truth, it may take a little bit of time, especially with the internet. But people start to catch on little by little what's happening. And if you're way out there, you're not going to last, 21 years like you have.
Well, no, you are not. And it is a long game. And I guess, again, what frustrates me the most is how much more, I see online the interest. How many more people could actually help themselves as opposed to wasting some of the most precious years? The initial throes of hair loss is really the time where intervention works its best. Right. It's when it really works its magic. And even to waste a year or 2 years on fucking bullshit, or to jump into surgery before you are a candidate, and then to lose ground and deal with the emotional roller coaster, which they're ruining their 20s.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what scares me the most, that a lot of the people that are making the decision to have a hair transplant are in their early 20s, mid-20s. That, who knows how bald you're going to be.
It is.
You may be a terrible candidate for a hair transplant.
In general, that is one of the worst. That is one of the worst aesthetic cosmetic surgery decisions any person can make. Now,
I remember.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. I remember Andre Agassi having relatively lots of hair when he was 27, and if he would go to get a hair transplant like all these people profess to do, he'd be in seriously bad shape right now.
Well,
he'd
actually,
be wearing a wig like Elton John.
Well, actually, at 27, what you saw was him wearing a wig.
Yeah, that's when he was starting to really lose hair.
And, you know, I have actually footage of him, tape of him stating that, you know, like during the, I don't know if it was Wimbledon. It was on a clay court, though, or the U.S. Open. I guess Wimbledon is grass.
Right.
Yeah.
That he really was, you know, he did his best, but he was really just concentrating on and worrying about, you know, not doing certain things because he wanted to make sure that his hairpiece stayed on, and he had a real issue the morning of that particular contest with the system kind of getting loose, and he was freaking out trying to get glue and all this shit.
And his brother was running around trying to get hairpins in his thing so they'd stay in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, Agassi, if you look, you can look it up on tape. When he was in his early 20s, he had a bunch of hair.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys are making that choice in their 20, 21, 22. That's a dangerous range to be making a choice. You don't even know if you're going to have enough donor hair down the line.
What is going to happen to a lot of these guys who are currently in their 20s on YouTube, and even if they're on Finasteride, in general, if you're losing hair that aggressively at that young of an age, Finasteride will help for sure for a lot of guys, but it usually doesn't seem to be as effective as it is for those who have kind of better hair loss genes.
Yeah.
Meaning, even though I started young, how far would I have progressed? You know, judging from my family, unless it was my uncles on my father's side, probably wouldn't have gotten to a Norwood 6. I may have been a 4, 5. I've been lucky enough to, you know, maintain pretty strong, you know, temporal points. That's also, even when before I took Propecia, even though I was losing some hair on the sides, that didn't seem to be receding, which is in general, a sign of future loss, right. You know, and where you're going to end up. So a lot of these guys I'm seeing online now who are becoming influencers, you can see that their temporal peaks they're gone, or they're going.
They're on their way. Yeah.
They're on their way, and they're, 25, 26, 27 years old. They had thousands of grafts placed. And in time, there's a strong chance that some people claim they look weird now, but in time, they would definitely are going to have a problem. And many of them, because of the choices they made, will be stuck wearing a hair system.
Yeah, yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're the anomalies and it doesn't work. I would never want to see anyone be put in that position to be forced to do something that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Look, I'm all for hair systems if that's a choice. But if it's because you have to hide or cover up bad work or prior work, then you're in prison.
Right. And then when they're young, they also want the hairline to be so low, you know, like a real young hairline, and they're losing their hair at 21, 22. There's a good chance they're going to have a lot more hair loss in their lifetime, no matter what medication they're taking.
Dude, I lost hair. I lost hair in my hairline over the last 2 decades being on this medication. I kind of push it down, so that but it's not what it was when I started taking the medication. It's not. I feel very lucky. It's not horrendous. I mean, it's not like Tillman's. I'm just kidding. Tillman's got a great hairline. Everyone makes fun of him.
So I always like to know. I don't make fun of him because you know what? And this is a compliment, Joe. You look too good. You actually make people believe that everybody can do what you did.
Well, that was a big problem for Joe for many years.
It was, and I really appreciate the sentiment. But what I realized very recently is that everything I've been through makes it seem too easy to do more. Like this is the most common comment I get now. It's like even with regards to my last procedure, why didn't you lower the hairline? If most people knew what it took to lower a hairline the right way, especially in my case, they would realize that, the donor hair required, it's not just lowering the hairline, you also have to adjust the temple points. You have to adjust how far forward or back they are. You obviously can't take them back, but you got to bring them forward more and lower the hairline to maintain the profile balance. Just 1 centimeter of scalp, just 1 centimeter would require about 1,500 grafts, not including any sort of temple point modification as well.
Yeah,
I just don't have it, and I wouldn't want to anyway.
Yep, and you were fortunate enough to have the elasticity in your scalp to be able to, a lot of people don't have that ability.
But what I find interesting is when I look at Joe, and not just on camera, but in person, and again, this is just, it's not to make you feel good, Joe. This is just reality. People are born with your hairline.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, that hair delicious guy who's really aggressive, he's really not a male pattern baldness type guy. He was born with that hairline. He even admits it.
Right.
And he says he just wanted it to go down, but the rest of his hair is like completely solid.
And that wasn't meant to be people are born a freak. That's a very natural looking like hairline, not just age appropriate, but there are young people who have that, slightly larger than the four-finger hairline. Yep. And so that's why I don't understand why people are even saying anything. It's like, what do these fucking guys want? Everyone's facial shape is different.
Yeah.
Well, they just don't understand. And most of the guys making these comments are like 22 years old. And if they have any hair loss at all, it just started like 3 days ago.
I fucking hate some of these online animals, man. I don't even understand how fucking rude and just, we're all supposed to be suffering. We're all in the same fucking boat, at different levels. That's why I always hated the forums, and that's why, we really moderate ours, because someone comes on there and they're happy with the result, and someone's on there just goes on there to shit on them. What kind of a fucking animal is that?
And I've also noticed that a lot of the influencers have all had hair transplants, and they're young.
Yeah.
So if a lot of these guys are selling a bunch of stuff to go along with what they're professing works. So if it works to grow new hair, why the heck do all these guys have 2 or 3 transplants already in their 20s? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Well, some of them are just greedy. Some of them are trying to covertly fix what they had before. It's a few reasons probably, but it's obvious. Look, the people that we're dealing with today, especially on YouTube, the YouTube demographic itself dictates that it's going to be harder to.
I'll be right back.
To push out the truth, simply because the truth is not what they want to hear. The truth is not conducive to what their goals are. That's why these channels where you got guys talking about derma rolling or lasers or onion juice and all this horse shit. It's like it offers them a hope that they can afford, and they want to believe that there are alternatives to what's out there legitimately. It's all this, this entire bro science arena, and it's always going to be there. Like it's always going to be there. And I mean, it's inevitable. We can't get away from it.
I mean, I don't mind that people are out there and they're hopefully telling people to be hopeful. And these are some things you can try. But what I have a problem with is when they push it over the line and they start to say, we can guarantee that if you put the lasers, they had a study, their own manufacturer had a study that everybody, 100% of people grew hair, which is like, no, it didn't. Or, there wouldn't be any bald people in the world. When they go overboard and then start to say that this stuff is going to work, and they start showing these photos and they make it like, oh, yeah, everybody's going to benefit from this stuff, when it's actually probably the opposite, that a lot of less people will actually benefit from it. That's
the first problem with that is believing any sort of study that's put out by the manufacturer. Like that in and of itself just completely disqualifies any sort of reasoning as to why it should be believed. It's like saying, oh, Chevy did a study and said that their cars are the safest, most fuel efficient, best looking cars on the planet. Gee, shit, why didn't I see the study before? I'm gonna go buy a Chevy. What the hell?
When it's incredible. I laugh at it, and I even unfortunately I go on there and I feel obligated because I went through crap when I had my stupid plug hair transplant back in the 80s when, I was the same thing. I put biotin on my head because there was a book that said, that grows. None of it worked.
Careful. Don't start talking about that because the new kids are going to be like, hey, the latest thing for hair loss, biotin.
It was like,
you're going to start another trend, buddy.
They said that, it was like biotin. If you pulled your hair, you name it, it would stand on your head, more blood flow, you name it, and almost zero of it worked. And so I got myself in. People still do that, and unfortunately, and when you're young, you don't understand, about how science works. How like if a manufacturer does some kind of testing, that means nothing, zero. And but you're young, and the problem is that you do something that's irreversible, and then you're stuck. And that's the the problem.
Well, that was my issue. I was stuck for many years until the technology improved to where, it's not because
I admire you. I'm sorry, Doug. I admire you to be able to have done that. To be out there and people looking at you and stuff like that. That takes a lot of people don't handle it that well.
Well, thank you. And I think, I don't think it's a matter of handling it as well. I think it's handling differently because I really don't have any shame as far as.
I'm starving, by the way. Sorry.
Like this haircut I've got right now. Even the day of my last procedure, on the way home I stopped at the grocery store so I could pile up on protein and fruits and vegetables so I could just consume as much as possible. And I'm walking around I don't know if you saw the video. I'm walking around the grocery store with my camera.
Yeah, I did.
Showing that, kids aren't running away screaming, old people aren't fainting that I was aware of anyway. And it's like I don't know these people. I'm never going to see these people ever again in my life.
Right.
So
but
why should I care?
At your age, you shouldn't. But if you're 27 and you're in a bar trying to hit on girls, and you're in that that little group.
Well, that's different. Yeah, I'm not going to walk into a bar, the day of surgery after I had a procedure.
Then you have to have, as they say in South Florida, cojones for that, and most people wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's funny
they
because
wouldn't. But I look at it as an opportunity because, if I were single and I walked into a bar today, 9 days after my surgery, where there's a little bit of if you know what you're looking at,
why do you have to be single?
Happened. What's that?
Why do you have to be single? You can still test out the theory. There's nothing wrong with flirting, right?
Well, there's the theory. You just completely threw me.
Sorry.
No, I would look at that as an advantage because you want to talk about
now you can because look at some of the punk people that are out there, with all the stuff that they do to their face and everything like that. So you can kind of go.
Well, think about it. Okay, think about it. So you walk into a bar with a priest and a rabbi. No, you walk into a bar and you're not looking like you just got beat up with a hamburger grinder, but you're healed up, but there's still some sort of evidence that something was done fairly recently, and the conversation gets started. What happened to your head? Did you have brain surgery? I've actually had that one before. And you start talking about the surgery, and then you start talking about how fucking expensive it is. You want to talk about some panties hitting the floor.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
It's like there's an angle to everything, right?
There is an angle to everything. You learn that as you get older. When you're young, you don't know that. But in my history, and I didn't get any experiment with this, but every time I saw somebody in a wheelchair in a bar, a guy, he had all kinds of chicks around him.
Oh, dude, that's an old fucking trick, man.
That's what I'm telling you. I should have done that.
You roll in a fucking wheelchair, and then all of a sudden you're cured. Like 3 months later, you had some sort of
same deal. So if now if you get a bad hair transplant or whatever you get bad on you just go with it, and you kind of play with it, but you got to have that mentality first. But I was looking at Real Self, and
I'm sorry.
the hair transplant business is not the only business. This cosmetic business is out of control. Do you know what a pea shot is?
I do know what a pea shot is because I'm kind of on the periphery of being involved in the cosmetic surgery industry, and I was considering like jumping full force into it until I recognized that it's probably even more fucked up than the hair transplant field. But yeah, a pea shot essentially is fucking PRP into your fucking cock.
And to your cock, and dermatologists, all kinds of different doctors that shouldn't even be in that area are doing this, and they're charging like $2,000 a shot.
It is one of the saddest things that I've ever. And honestly, if it worked, I could use it. But they are.
If it worked.
But all I can say, they're making. There's all types of claims that is going to add fullness to. That's
what they say.
To your penis. And it's also going to give you, you're going to become more virile and, being able to perform better and all this nonsense.
It's an ED treatment.
Listen, there were people who were doing penile enlargements for years, essentially destroying men's lives, disfiguring them. It's just that can't be fixed. Like cutting their, what's that ligament called, Joe, that keeps you erect? Anyway. But if you cut that ligament, there's a certain amount of your penis that's actually inside of you, right? So then you'd have to put some weights, and you get maybe another inch if things don't retract. But even if you're going in for some coitus, look it up, and you you realize that you may have an erection, but it's pointing south. That's no fun.
It's no fun, and supposedly what I read, it's not FDA approved, which doesn't mean anything to me anyways. These doctors, they do whatever surgery they want almost, which is coming up to my next question if you guys know. But it's unbelievable how many of these guys are just doing this, really it's just to make money.
Let me tell you something. I'm very honest. I'm a man of my, I guess if I wasn't honest, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. If any of that shit worked, I would have had it done years ago. And that also includes if I was a candidate for hair transplant surgery.
Exactly.
The
one thing I like about Viagra and some of the other ED medications, that it's actually a medication that you yourself can actually take, and you can actually say, yeah, this is really working.
This shit works. And
all the other shit that's out there, 99% of stuff is smoke and mirrors, and it's con men selling you freaking hope.
And it can give you that extra. It can give you that extra fullness that you may have had when you were 19. But it's not going to make your dick any bigger in general. It's just going to make it work better. That's it. And it's all kinds of doctors, dermatologists doing that. I mean, it's crazy. Well, I'm going to say something, and there are probably a lot of doctors who will defend this. There are nurses who are performing this, and it's called the O shot. And essentially, there is this mythical area called the G spot that everyone still talks about and writes about. But if you ask anybody in the real sex business, that particular area could be in different parts of the woman's body. That's a little bit more sensitive. It can be directly behind the clitoris, slightly, relatively easy to reach, maybe not by your genitals, but other ways. And not everyone has it. It's not effective for everybody. And so essentially they inject, whether it's filler, whatever they're injecting, into this area of a woman's vagina. And all it does, honestly, is it may make it a little snugger, in my view, so that it can accept whatever's going in there and feel it a little bit more easily. But the claims that are being made about it and the fact that women are having it done on a regular basis, A, it shows how desperate people are and how fucked up their sex lives are. B, maybe someone should have told them not to be on birth control for 20 years and they wouldn't have be suffering from sexual dysfunction.
Yeah.
And the same doctors who prescribe the birth control are probably now doing the O shots.
It's just shame.
It's a fucking shame, and all of it. I mean, I believe that these people should be totally ashamed themselves. And you talk about sites like Real Self. I'm sorry if I'm going off on this. I give this guy, Tom Seary, credit because he built a really profitable business, and he understood the vulnerabilities of consumers in this market and also the vulnerabilities of the doctors who will do anything to get a fucking lead. Anything to get a lead.
Unbelievable.
So I have mad props for this guy. Now, I can't do that. You know, I couldn't go in that direction, even though I was offered opportunities to go in that direction years ago.
Yep.
And my forum was actually, there was or forum owners won't believe this, but this is the reality. I was offered seven figures for a message forum because they wanted to turn it into, just because they liked the name and also it had good traffic, but they wanted to turn it into a review site for hair restoration. And they wanted that domain. And I chose not to do that. Not just out of integrity because, I ended up making more in the long run anyway. But I can't see it. And the doctors that support all this stuff and the doctors who support the toxicity and the online defamation and the online terrorism that has been a major detracting and harmful element of this industry, I personally think they should be ashamed of themselves as well. But it doesn't matter. Like, oh, the guy killed somebody? So what? I get 2 leads a month.
It almost doesn't matter. It's almost like it's really disgraceful. Somewhere down the line, someone's going to come up, like this thing that's happening with this Epstein guy. Someone's going to finally say, hey, wait a minute. This isn't right.
Well, I can tell you this.
Overselling most of the shit that you guys have. Some of it may work a little bit, but I can tell you, you guys are way overselling all the shit you have.
I can tell you this, at least in this field, for everyone who's supported all these different resources and have, allowed these things to happen, the chickens are coming home to roost.
Yeah.
And these old school guys are not going to have a pot to piss in if they have not been smart with their money.
Yeah, it's right. Just, being what I went through, obviously you get a different perspective, and it's crazy. It's just this stuff. In Real Self is like 99%, supposedly, or 95, or 88, 98%, that hair transplant is a perfect procedure, and you're going to be happy, and it's not. It's not going to be 98%. There's going to be a lot more people who are going to have problems with it, especially if you're going at 21 and 22 and all that shit.
I cannot say this as a fact, that those numbers and those satisfaction rates are somehow manipulated. I have no clue if they are. But I can tell you that in the real world, in the world that I live in, I would honestly say that true satisfaction rate in this field has plummeted to probably 40%.
I believe you. And they put it up there at 98%. Like it's a great procedure.
Well, listen, all I can say is mad props to Tom Seary and his team for building a fucking just money machine.
Yep.
That's it. Now, I can't blame him at all. You know who I can blame though? The fucking doctors who are involved in all this shit. These are the fucking bad guys in my view. Even some of the good guys are naive enough to feel that they need to belong. Otherwise, they're not going to be relevant. I understand that. They're all fucking suckers. And in the long run, I see what's happening. I see guys who have been in this field for a long time, who have multiple facilities, who are now adding everything under the sun to their aesthetic practices. And they're changing the name of their practices to, instead of just something medical or hair transplants, now it's like something, aesthetics. And I'm just like,
med spa.
Why do you think that's happening? It's not just because they want to become more wealthy. It's because they need to do it in order to survive and maintain their lifestyle, take care of their 4 fucking ex-wives and their kids. That's it. And this industry is going to hell in a handbasket. And you know what? I talk about it and I write about it and I bitch about it in the show, and I'm sorry if I keep cutting you off. But I want these doctors to listen to this because they see me as some sort of a subversive. They see me as someone who feels that they are morally superior. Let's put it that way. And the reality is, you just got to deal with the fucking truth. You guys, most of these guys are all sellouts. Period.
Sellouts. Period.
And they're politicians, and whatever they claim, they somehow are rationalizing that they're doing the right thing when they know, when they're home, having a couple of bourbons, sitting in the dark, thinking about their lives, or when they're on their deathbeds, and they think about all the people they have conned and bamboozled. Actually, like I said a lot of people, for some reason, this industry, cosmetics in general, draws a lot of, in my view, and I'm not a professional, so I don't know for sure, but it appears to draw a lot of people with sociopathic behavior.
No doubt, narcissist, completely.
Right. Do you know how easy it is in this? You know how easy it is in this world, and I figured it out, to do the right thing and make a lot of money.
Hey, well, you're going to feel a lot better about yourself. That's for sure in the long run.
They could all do it. Every single one of them, right, Joe? Right, Joe Tillman?
Absolutely, Spencer Kobren.
Okay.
Yeah, but when they get into their little parties and they start talking to each other, and then one of them says, "Well, I just got a new house and I got my new Ferrari, and I'm down here in South Beach and I'm going to buy a condo on the beach," and the other guys start to say, "Oh my God," it's like the poor millionaire feeling sorry for himself in the billionaire club, and it's all a game to them.
Let me tell you something. I see these guys and housewives and all that stuff. I'm in Beverly Hills. I drive any car that I want, do whatever the fuck I want. And you know what? I've never sold out. And I'm not saying that. It's what I'm trying to express is, we live in a world. We're in a fucking America, man. It is possible to do good things and make money.
Yeah.
That's it. It's very, very possible. And I think part of the reason why some of these guys are so upset with me is whether I've had them over to my place, whether they kind of just count things from just me being in the industry for so long. They're upset that a layman has been able to somehow, and they're upset with Joe, and I think they're definitely upset with Specs. We're somehow able to become successful in life by just not ripping people off.
I think that.
I'll tell you one reason why. First off, to correct you about what you're saying, when they gather at these meetings, depends on the time of year, but they're walking in, and after they down a few shots, they wipe a little sweat off their brow and say, "My doors are still open."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that because of the dynamics now, international travel and doing cosmetics everywhere else and all the things that are happening. Yeah, you're right. But they don't want to lose their lifestyle. They've had a high lifestyle. They don't want to go down to, just a pretty good lifestyle.
But there's
some of them can.
In regards to what they feel about Spencer, there's two levels to this. One, like Spencer said, they don't like the idea of a non-medical professional pointing out the flaws about what they do or about the industry.
Knowing their little dirty secrets. Yeah, exactly.
But here's the other thing. Even if he was a doctor, he would still be a pariah.
Right.
It actually doesn't, because he's not a doctor, just adds insult to injury to a lot of these guys. But when they learn more about him and they understand that he doesn't get up every day wondering if his doors are going to be open like they do, that is, I think, the biggest insult to them that they can think of. I mean, that's part of it, I think.
Then they should have fucking written a book and been published and been on the radio for 21 years.
Or maybe listen to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jesus.
It's just that they're in their little club. They're a cosmetic club. They got little secrets they don't want to tell everybody because it'll make their life. They think it'll make their life worse, which it actually will make their life better if they're more transparent, if they just think through it correctly. And they're pissed off because this guy's making waves.
I can tell you this. If I was able to convince just 300, that's a very low number compared to, let's put it this way, Real Self caters to about 1,800 some odd so-called hair transplant surgeons. If I was able to just convince 300 to support our message, I can't necessarily recommend, or not that we recommend, I can't necessarily have them all in the IHRS or, but there are different levels of things that we will be able to do. But basically just say, we're going to put this shit out there so that the consumer can see it. Everything would change. All of these guys would be seen in a different light. They would be able to separate themselves from their colleagues in a way that they cannot do now. And all of you guys would be in a much better position when attempting to make the right choices when it comes to surgery. Everything would change. And it would happen in about 12 months, maybe even less. That's how little these guys have to cooperate.
No.
That's it.
It's sad. It's sad.
I can tell you what's sad. I'm sitting in a meeting, and Joe is there, and we're talking about utilizing our content, some of my undercover tech content, some of Joe's, incredibly impactful educational videos, and having these doctors share it. And this was at our meeting here in Los Angeles with the big politicians in the field. And one of the lead politicians, who's not a doctor herself, basically said, why don't we do something that's unbranded, like a PSA, to try to get the message out there, And I'm like, the whole point is you need third-party credibility. Who cares what the branding is? It could be your fucking brand. We'll put your brand on it. I don't give a shit. Just get this information out there. They don't want to do it. They do not want to do it because
they want to hide stuff. They don't feel comfortable with putting information out there.
I think there's two reasons. I think they want to hide stuff, in my view. I also think that they want complete control. It's either their brand or no brand. But if they take their brand off it, whatever little credibility their brand actually has, they're going to lose even more credibility. So if you're going to put something out there, you might as well have your brand on it. Your organizational brand. So it has some sort of, perceived merit and credibility. But when I thought about that concept, that idea, I'm thinking, this person runs this organization. It's fucking, it's mind-boggling to me.
It's frustrating. Frustrating. You almost want to give up and just say, fuck it, just go get everybody messed up.
And on a personal level, I think she's a very lovely woman. She seems very nice, and I think she really believes in what she's doing. I admire her, her work ethic, and and she works out like I'm just this chick is jacked, and strong, and there's a lot to admire about this person. It's just
you're gonna need a PRP.
Yeah, but in life you have to just stay. If you either stay within your wheelhouse, or you open your mind and your doors to working with those who have a unique skill set and understand their wheelhouse, so that combined and collectively, you guys can accomplish the mission that you supposedly want to accomplish. That's not happening. And you know who's being fucked? You know who's being fucked? All you guys who are listening to the show right now. Well, you guys aren't being fucked because you're listening to us. But the guys who don't find the show, the guys that don't find their resources, they're all being fucked. And as they get fucked, the politicians' industry is being fucked.
Honestly, you guys have been in the business for so long, and I've had my situation for so long, that we have a special understanding of things, a long-term, information-based thought process.
Right.
These people come in, and they don't know that much. They don't keep up with it, and they're making life-changing decisions to have surgery on a kind of like a whim.
You're a fucking great caller, by the way. You are. What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Lewis
from South Florida.
South Florida.
You are a smart fucking dude. You're a great caller.
Well, I got smart because I got punished, And when I was young, just like Joe, you believe what what the doctor tells you, and you go for it. You were lucky, Spence. Somehow you didn't jump to what they were telling me that that I got a cure for baldness for you. You'll never be bald. Here, get a plug to hair transplant. Well, my dad's like a number 8 on the scale.
I am.
Norwood.
I am lucky, and it's one of my biggest curses is probably one of my best assets, and that's my obsessive compulsive disorder.
You're probably right. You almost have to be to get through all the shit that they tell you that's misinformation.
Like, it may make me late for certain things. So, I mean, I'm never late for anything professional, but for like social events because I have to check the iron 7 times. But with that said, it really keeps me safe. And it's not like it's not like paralysis through analysis type of safe. I do enough analysis to make an informed decision. And
I tell you, you were in that hair transplant. You were pretty young when you went to see what was it, Norman, whatever his name was.
I was 22 years old, man, and I had the money to do it.
You were like, I don't know how you didn't fall for his BS stuff, or maybe because it was the back of your hair and it's not that bad, the front. Generally, people get more panicked when your hairline instead of the back.
Oh, no, my hairline was starting to change. I was miniaturizing. Things were getting wispier, but it had not yet really receded. So my question was, where is it going to... Go ahead.
How the hell did you get through this guy's spiel? And that's basically what it was, spiel for him.
Well, first I got through it, and then he's like, he saw an ingrown hair on my beard line. And he's like, while you think about this, whatever, gave me all the information, goes, let me have one of my nurses take care of that for you. And I was like, oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks a lot. She fucking pops the thing, gives me a bill for $230. So
that's what you knew what you were working with.
So that helped me a lot. That was the best $230 for a pop pimple that I've ever spent. Because
absolutely.
And also he wanted to give me progesterone injections into my scalp, which I know Joe from Staten Island did with him, and all kinds of stuff. I'm just like, all right, hold on here, motherfucker.
I'm out of here.
There's something, and the before and after pictures they showed me from work that he did in the 70s, and they were like dark and grainy. He's like, this guy's hair is still growing, and I'm like, you mean it's growing like that? Because there's something wrong with that. That doesn't look like that doesn't look too normal to me.
Well, you were lucky. You were lucky because with me, I ever told you guys that the guy who did it with me was Dr. Resnick, Sorrel Resnick.
Yeah.
And he was probably in the 80s the only guy down here doing transplants, or one of the few. And unfortunately, he had been my doctor for like 7 years.
Yeah,
I first came to him as a teenager.
Yeah.
So I trusted him. He took a little skin cancer that I had on my lip off. You start to trust your trust doc, especially back then. And especially, I don't know about, I'm sure it's almost the same way, but Latin families, the doctor is like God.
Oh, yeah. Doctors and priests, man.
Doctors and priests.
If you question them, you're being disrespectful.
If you question them, your mother hit you in the back of the head.
Right. So I had 7 years with a guy, and unfortunately, he was my doctor, so I trusted him. And so in '85, he freaking, described this. This is the solution for for your hair loss. They were just starting with minoxidil. He had flyers in his office saying, "Miracle drug. This will stop your hair from falling out." I thought, well, I'll just start using this freaking minoxidil, and I'll just put it as a number 2, Norwood number 2, and I'll be great. But as the years progressed, go figure, my hair little by little kept falling out.
Dude, I was walking down the 72nd Street or 71st Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue to the Dr. Leuenberg, who sold the Leuenberg formula. his office. I would go there once a month, pick up a bottle. It was actually in a minoxidil bottle, but he was mixing it, minoxidil with a Retin-A formulation, making all kinds of claims. I started to use this stuff in a panic. It was a very depressed time in my life. And this guy was actually a psychiatrist, if I can remember, if I remember correctly. And he had like an acupuncturist, whatever. But he started this business. I mean, people were just waiting in line for this shit. And I had brought up an article that I read. I brought him an article that I read about Finasteride and from the New York Times. And he told me that they would have dangerous feminizing effects and I should not use that drug. And the next time I went into his office, which was about a month later, I saw all of this propaganda type material about anti-finasteride stuff. And I knew I struck a fucking chord. I need to find a doctor who will prescribe me this shit as fast as possible. And I did. Years later, I wrote about my experience, my honest experience on Bald Truth Talk message forums. I was contacted by Dr. Leuenberg's attorney, very aggressive letter, a cease and desist.
Oh, no, here we go, yeah.
Cease and desist.
Here we go.
So while most people would be like, oh, shit, I better take this shit down, I want to deal with it, I called up the attorney and I said, listen, you know that I didn't embellish anything. I did not defame the physician in any ways. This is essentially would be a slap suit. And I don't think that you want to waste your time, and you certainly don't want to waste Dr. Leuenberg's time. And I said, and if you choose to waste my time, I have a much bigger microphone than you do.
That's where you got them.
Well,
they hate that information.
Well, he actually said, he goes, Mr. Kobren, I have to tell you, I'm actually a fan, and you're right. And then we had a long conversation about it, and he was laughing because you're a smart guy. No one would ever pick up the phone and call. He goes, I wrote I was paid to write this letter. I had to be as aggressive as possible. That's my job on behalf of my client. But the reality is, it's all puffery. They know they can't. Truth is your absolute defense.
Oh, yeah. If you're truthful, there's a lot of people that try to embellish things, too. That's bad on the other side. But if you're truthful, absolutely. Truth is a defense for defamation all the way.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, I've actually been defamed online, and I actually prevailed on one of the biggest, it was a landmark case here in the state of California in Los Angeles County against a physician who defamed me multiple times online. He thought he was anonymous, but the reality is, and normally I don't even deal with that shit, but because it was from I recognized it was from a physician, I'm like, you know what? This guy is going down, and he is no longer practicing in this field. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So there's two sides to every coin.
Yeah, we need more guys like you because a lot of these attorneys know that people they get a letter and they will desist on doing anything because they're scared, and they should be. They don't know what you know. You've been in the business. I at one time, and I actually was on the bar, the Journal of Law or whatever. It was for a different thing. I used to have some medical clinics back in the 90s, and I actually set up a picket in front of a lawyer's office, and they sued me for defamation. And I won.
Of course you did.
Yeah, they tried to. I was telling them the truth. First of all, that's the big one. You have to tell the truth. But they almost shut me up because their first judge ruled against me, but then I appealed it, and I won 3-0 on the appeal because the judge. This is the things that happened. The judge that ruled against me, the law firm actually helped him get elected. They raised money for him. That's legal.
Ooh. Isn't that amazing? And so right there and then, so there was a major conflict of interest. I'm glad you found that out.
Happens all the
Yeah.
It happens all the time.
Well, essentially,
Yeah,
a lawsuit like that is called a slap suit. And what a slap suit is, it's a strategic lawsuit against public participation.
Right.
And
they want to shut people up.
They want to shut people up. But now, in most states, there are anti-slap laws. And you can file an anti-slap motion. And as soon as you bring that up to an attorney who's trying to bully you and to file a slap suit, there's two ways of thinking. The attorney could say, well, shit, you know what? I'm going to do my job. I'm not going to even let my clients know that this is a possibility. And, yeah, this guy's going to probably win this motion, but I'm going to get paid, and that's all that matters. But what happens to the client is the client not only has to pay his attorney's fees, but he has to pay the defendant's attorney fees if they win a motion.
Yeah.
So, my whole thing is always to not only provide this information to the attorneys themselves, but to go directly to the clients of these attorneys so that they are made aware of it before their attorneys choose not to make a decision that may be in the best interest of their clients, which honestly would be considered malpractice, but a lot of these guys have no fucking clue what's going on.
Yep.
Yeah, it's sad.
So anyway, listen, we've gone way off track. We have some more calls. Joe's falling asleep already.
Let me ask you the one question I want to ask you. One started about half an hour ago.
Yeah.
What regulations are there? I'm not aware of the regulations that a doctor or let's say a new procedure comes out into the medical world. Let's say the first time hair transplant came out. What test or what experiments or what do they have to pass before it is allowed to go into the clinics of the doctors and the doctors are allowed to perform that treatment in their clinics?
Nothing.
That's probably what I thought. That's why it is what
you're talking about. If you're talking about platelet-rich plasma therapy, if you're talking about
anything, yeah,
nothing. If it's something that's being used, if it's something that's being used, for instance, if it's a drug that's been approved by the FDA, but it's being used off-label, or it's being mixed and being used off-label, physicians are able.
They get right on that.
Physicians are able to prescribe that themselves.
Right, but for surgeries, treatments that are surgically.
No,
surgical and
absolutely. The only thing that has to be cleared are the tools and the instrumentation that is being used in the surgical process. Not approved, but cleared.
Amazing.
So
amazing.
And in some cases, they don't even need that type of like a 510K clearance because some of these instruments have been used in medicine since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
amazing.
If someone says, you know what, I want to perform the Tillman lift procedure, all they have to do is...
On what head? Head? The top head or the bottom head?
Yeah, whatever. It could be, it's like scrotox. People are injecting Botox into people's balls to smooth them out and make them bigger. Okay.
I laugh, but it's a serious thing. It really is.
Oh, yeah. I laugh all the time. It's fucking serious. It's fucking a heart attack, man.
You have to laugh at that stuff.
What?
You have to laugh at it. It's just really freaking funny.
Let me tell you something. Your balls are supposed to be wrinkled. Period. That's the way you were born. Jesus Christ.
They're not supposed to be smooth, polished, stainless steel, meditation balls.
Yeah. Jesus.
Amazing.
And if your package isn't as big as you'd like it to be, work on your personality.
Make some
fucking money. Because in the end, after the first couple of screws, they're not going to give a shit anyway.
It's amazing. That's why things are what they are. I couldn't believe in real self when I looked at procedures. There was like 5,000, 10,000 different procedures. I had to scroll down like hundreds of pages of actual procedures.
I have to say, from the entrepreneurial standpoint, I have to bow down to these guys. I really do. So, all right, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for the call.
Keep up the good work because you guys are one of the honest places that you can really get some. And every time I get the chance to tell anybody, I point them you guys' way because it is a serious thing.
I appreciate it. Would you wrap your car with thebaldtruth.com on it?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll figure that out.
Especially down here in South Florida. We need it.
That would be fucking awesome.
I like that
Keep up
attitude.
the good work,
All
guys.
right, dude. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you, buddy.
Let's take one more call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Barry, Denver, Colorado.
Dude, your phone is breaking up. Is this Bald Spot Barry?
God dang it, it's breaking up again, man. That sucks. My call last week sucked.
Now it's okay. Now it's all right. Well, it was all right until I said it's all right. Where are you? Are you still in the garage? Get out of the fucking garage, Barry.
Jesus Christ, man. I'm in the bedroom. I'm gonna walk in the backyard now.
Yeah, go outside.
In my boxers.
Yeah, how do you think I'd do it?
Yeah, man. In my boxers in the backyard, neighbors looking in, listening. That's cool. I don't care. I don't have much shame.
You're calling the Bald Show for you got to do that in secret?
Yeah, right. I don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, is that better? I'm in the backyard.
It is better, man.
All right, yeah, the call last week, man, I was listening to was horrible. You couldn't hear half what I said.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's cool.
So what's up?
Man, I was surprised. Oh, man, just pissing people off on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, people can't handle the truth, you know?
They cannot handle the truth now.
You know, I got a bee in my bum about microscopes.
Okay.
Okay.
A bee in my bum. And,
You're breaking up again. You're breaking up again, Barry.
Oh, man, I'm going to stand up on a chair, like on top.
You should. Get up on a chair and hold a hanger.
While you're wearing your boxer shorts.
Barry's gone.
He's gone.
Barry, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but
there you are.
Yeah, shit. All right, maybe the chair trick worked.
Okay, good. I was thinking, I'm just picturing you standing on a chair in your boxer shorts, but go ahead.
That's what I'm doing.
Good.
So anyway, I've been emailing the clinic, and they do both FUT and FUE. All right, and so I asked them about their microscopes, and they said, "Oh, well, yeah, we have microscopes." They sent me a picture. They said, "But we only use the microscopes for FUT. We don't use them for FUE." And, so I just made a request. I said, "Hey, is it possible to request if I come to your clinic for an FUE that all of the single hair grafts that you're going to use for my hairline be put through the microscope so you can guarantee they're single hair grafts?" And, the response I got back from the clinic...
I can't hear you, dude. The response you got back from the clinic was what?
He was kind of annoyed, because I asked that it be used to sort the single hair grafts. And, we went into, the hair...
doctor?
What?
Was this the consultant that got annoyed or the doctor?
The consultant.
Okay. What place is this?
It is a clinic in Turkey that offers both FUT and FUE.
Okay. Interesting.
That is very interesting.
That really narrows the field. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Well,
it actually completely narrows the field. Well, no, there's two actually.
No.
Two.
There's, I think 4.
4. Okay.
I think there's 4. I know there's 3, but I think there's 4.
Okay. Yeah,
we're not going to get
surprised. I was surprised he acted annoyed at that, and said, he went in this whole little paragraph about, the hairline design involves so much more. It's about naturalness and softness, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
created with single hair grafts.
Yeah, that's when you say, thank you, but go fuck yourself. Click.
I was actually going to say that. Tell him to politely go fuck himself. Look, you can't unless you're creating like a cornfield. You can't make natural with corn stalks.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well said.
Thank you. I just came up with that. Yep. That's a Joeism. TM.
Trademark that shit. Lock it down, Joe.
I'm telling you. .com.
False spot, Barry.
Okay.
We left you. You're gone.
Yeah, we can't hear him.
Yeah. But listen.
Oh, there he is.
All right. We'll give you another
All
second to see if your phone is okay.
Okay, well, I just wanted to bring that up because, I thought I was like, you have microscopes there. Use them to sort the single hair grafts to make sure no doubles or triples get caught in there. And the guys, like I said, he just seemed a little bit annoyed.
I'll tell you the reason. I'll tell you the reason, because if they book an FUE case that day, they're not going to be paying as many technicians to come in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's actually a great point. But on
I
top
know
of
it
that,
is.
check. I love how it's a contest sometimes. It's like, I know. Oh, I know.
Oh, I know.
I know it's a good point. You don't have to tell me. That's your damn Kobren. My show. My name on here.
Mm-hmm.
But the other reason is because they don't do FUT anymore. They probably don't even have the staff anymore. Because when you go to Turkey, getting an FUT is pretty rare. Like even in the clinics that offer it. So there's probably that too.
Yeah, and the one person that knows how to utilize the microscope to refine grafts, they're working someplace else now.
Yeah,
they're poached by a competitor in the same building.
Yeah,
or they went back to the garbage dump where they were working at before.
Or they're making baklava. Is that what it's called? I love that stuff.
It is good. Barry, you know that in Turkey, like in Istanbul, there's some the majority of these clinics are actually in apartments, and what they call flats, and they're deemed to be residential, even though in 2000, I think it was 13, maybe it was 14. The Turkish government ruled it illegal to operate a clinic in anything other than a government-approved hospital facility. But what's even funnier than that is there are high-rise apartment complexes where you can have 5 clinics in the same apartment complex.
Yeah,
all on different floors.
Wow! So
it's an apartment complex
in the same building.
Yes, in the same building.
This is how I look at it, honestly. If you live in Turkey, it seems pretty reasonable to stay in Turkey to have a hair transplant and find a good doctor.
Of course.
Because there are several really great facilities. If you are not from Turkey, and if you're close by and you want to save some money, you got to find somebody really good. And you're not going to be saving as much as you think in the long run. You save some, but otherwise, it's like, I'm not jumping on a plane to go to Dubai to get a hair transplant at this point, or whatever, even though you wouldn't be saving as much money. The only reason people are going is to save money. They're not necessarily going to have a better procedure. So if the two don't go hand in hand, and it's just about saving money, the choice really should be easy to make.
Should be.
All right, maybe I can go someplace else and save a little bit of money, but not as much, and get a better procedure.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Joe?
I was going to say, in the chat room, there's the user Exploration of Space. He says, I saw Tillman's video, so made an inquiry to my local hair transplant clinic about using microscopes for single hairline. The initial response was that she was confused, saying not necessary. Because she's completely clueless about what makes a hair transplant look natural.
Right.
Was this a doctor or the consultant?
And what they're probably thinking is, well, we're extracting single hairs, so what's the difference? But you don't know what the fuck you're getting unless you put that under a microscope. And frankly, I think you're crazy to have to put so many punctate wounds into a person's back of their head just to get a single hair graft. To cherry pick single hairs, when you could get a 3-hair graft, cut it to size, and make less wounds in the back of the scalp, and provide people with more coverage. Jesus, how does this not make sense to people? Simple math. Oh, that's right. I'm a Propecia shill. That's right. All right, Bald Spot Barry, we were breaking up again. Thank you so much for the call. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye.
Thanks for calling.
We started late, so we'll take one more call. Sorry, Joe. Hello. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hello, Joe Spencer. It's the Thunder from Down Under. How are you? It's Graham.
Hey, Graham. How are you, man? Nice to hear you.
I have to have a big introduction and a fancy name. You know, you got Bald Spot Barry going there, and all these guys have got their own names, so I've got to make one up as well.
Dude, it makes the fucking show. It's great.
What I want to talk about too, because you know, guys, I'm a big supporter on honesty and in industry and surgery, and I want to tell the younger generation or any generation about, let's just say, a little botched surgery I had and how it took 4 operations to get my nose to breathe clearly after 15 years. You want to hear it?
I do, actually.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, to all the people out there, I had what was called a deviated septum, which what it is, it's the middle part of your nose, and you basically can't breathe out of your nose. So if you don't breathe well out of your nose, you tend to snore, you tend to not sleep well. So I went to a specialist. He said, yeah, we can fix your septum. I go for surgery. What do you think? A month later, I go back, the septum's deviated again. So under the knife, I go again 3 months later.
Did you go to the same doctor?
Same doctor. Made the mistake. Went to the same doctor, which was supposed to be highly recommended in Melbourne. Very good, all this, that, and the other. Went to the same doctor. I go and get my septum done again. A week later, I end up hemorrhaging, right? So I can't stop the bleeding one morning. I wake up spitting out a mouthful of blood out of bed.
Jesus.
I end up going into the INE hospital in Melbourne, blood coming out my nose, going down my throat, choking me basically. This is the truth of what happened. And to cut a long story short, I ended up staying 4 nights.
Sounds like
in
my
the
Studio
INE
54 years. But go ahead.
Yeah. I ended up staying 4 nights in the INE hospital because of the hemorrhaging that happened. I had a balloon basically stuck up my nose to stop the hemorrhaging. I had to fast them because they thought they were going to have to put me into surgery again. I end up getting out of the hospital weighing 57 kilos, and for about the next 4 months, I felt like absolute shit because my iron levels dropped down that low. They nearly flooded.
Don't make me do metrics. What's 57 kilos in pounds?
I'm not too sure.
About 120 pounds.
No,
120 pounds. Holy shit! How tall are you?
I'm about 5'9", so I really dropped back a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Over the next, little time after that, I ended up I was actually quite depressed after what happened. I go back to the specialist. I said, I'm no better than when I came in 2 times ago. He goes to me, there's nothing I can do for you. It's just not working. 10 years later, I go back to a different doctor. The same thing. I go in there very skeptical, and I said, look, how good are you? Because I've had problems in the past, and he's going to me, I'm glad you trust me on how good I am, all that sort of thing. I go get the surgery. 1 month later, I go back to have a look. The septum's deviated again.
Oh my God.
That was on the Friday. In the Monday, I went back into the hospital, got the septum straightened again. And anyway, it's not too bad now after 4 operations. And what I have to say, and I said to the specialist, I said, what was the problem with me? Why did this happen? And he said to me, I had very, very soft cartilage, and that was the main reason that your septum deviated. And that was 4 operations later. And
it's like, why wouldn't you, especially if they recognize, they may have recognized that early on. You have a lot of cartilage in different parts of your body. And sometimes you will take cartilage from the rib. Sometimes you could take, and you could make a graft to reinforce that cartilage in a septum, which is not an unusual step or part of a DB8 septum procedure. Do not ask me how I know this. I am like this autodidact, and when I get into stuff, it just sticks into my fucking head. But that's a very common thing that's done with people who have severe DB8 septums.
Yeah, the second surgeon, I must admit, he was fantastic, and the first one, in my opinion, was a butcher, and I like I said, I came out second best. But luckily, the second surgeon, even though it did deviate a bit, he ended up getting it back, and my breathing's a lot better than it was, say, 15 years ago. And I'm not perfect, and I never will be perfect, but I'm a lot better. But like you said,
well, you're perfect to us, Graham.
Pardon?
You're perfect to us, Graham.
Oh, well, I'm only perfect because I'm like you guys. I tell the truth of how fucking things go wrong and how it's what they show you on television when you watch all these shows and how perfect people come out at the end. You don't see the 4 and 5 weeks in between that they're feeling like shit. You know, that is the difference.
We're gonna have to close up shop in a second. But when I used to watch shows like The Swan or Dr. 90210 or all these programs, these cosmetic plastic surgery programs, I'm thinking to myself, do you know how many idiots in this world are going to all of a sudden go in to have plastic surgery? They're going to try to get it on cheap. What's going to happen after these programs is going to be a very quick devolution of cosmetic surgery and plastic surgery. And that's exactly what happened. In that first show, I think it was, was the Grant Fisher and, not Grant Fisher.
What show was this?
It was the original show on ABC. Rasmus was on one episode, I think. God. Anyway, then the Swan came out, but I'm like
that.
What was that?
Like botched.
It wasn't like, it was more like they were giving away procedures, not to fix people. I can't remember the name, but anyway, I'm like, you're going to see A, plastic surgery is going to be on a rise, and B, more lives are going to be destroyed than ever before because of television, because of the media. That's exactly what happened. And you know what? The producers of the show walked away with hundreds of millions of dollars, and lives were destroyed in the process, in my opinion. So take it from Graham, people. There's always a possibility for complications with any surgery. Nothing is perfect. And there's a lot of people that are known as specialists. Sometimes they really are specialists. Sometimes they've just been able to build a reputation through good marketing, through their peers. I've asked doctors, and doctors have asked me, but there are doctors here in Los Angeles who will name who they believe are the best hair transplant surgeons. I'm talking about cosmetic surgeons, dermatologists, whatever it is. And I'm like, you really think they're the best? It's only because they built a name for themselves. Or they're able to pay rent in Beverly Hills. So,
that's a good reason.
There you go. Graham, listen, thank you so much for the call, man. We're going to call it a night.
All right, guys. Thank you, Joe. Your videos are awesome, man. I've seen your update videos, and congratulations with your 10th operation, and let's see what happens in 12 months.
That's a great comment. Let's see what happens in 12 months. That's the lesson of the day, kids.
Absolutely.
Nothing guaranteed. So thanks for calling in, Graham.
Graham, always a pleasure, man.
Right.
We'll talk soon.
All right.
Okay.
It's good day from Australia and good night to America and Canada, I think.
Good day, man. Exactly.
Good day.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. See you. Bye. Bye-bye.
All right, Joe, give out the websites.
It's one word, good day, not good day.
I can't do it. I'm not going to make believe that I'm from Australia.
Good day.
Can't do it.
All right, so the websites we've got, let's start off with hairlossexperiences.com. It's a UK-based, worldwide reached hair loss and hair restoration forum, clinics sharing the results and patients sharing their experiences. They are a great supporter of our message. That's hairlossexperiences.com. Go check them out. We've also got international-hairlossforum.com. It's the French version of a hair restoration and hair loss forum, where also clinics are sharing results, patients sharing experiences. Great supporter of our message and allowing us to embed on their web property. That's international-hairlossforum.com. Go check them out. And finally, bellycapelli.forumfree. Hang on. Back up. bellycapelli.forumfree.it. It's a little Italian website with a funny name, but it's actually a big Italian website. Lots of clinics sharing results, lots of patients sharing their experiences. That's bellycapelli.forumfree.it. Check them out.
TheBaldTruth.com for archives of this broadcast. Joe Tillman's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. Please subscribe. It's very important. If you're watching the program right now, like the show, please. And if you do subscribe, and you should, make sure that you ring the bell so that you are provided with notification when Joe or The Bald Truth is live. So that's youtube.com/hair transplant mentor. And of course, Joe Tillman's personal webpage or website is hairtransplantmentor.com. That's everything Joe Tillman. Learn about his life, his loves, his failures, and his victories.
It's the wrong website, man.
Oh, that's right. I'm not even going to go there. And also, baldtruthtalk.com is our message forum. Check it out. Don't take too much time on the forums, but we do create a moderated environment for you guys to share information, to learn from each other and from physicians and from other people on the site. But remember, it's a fucking message forum, people. Take it with a grain of salt. Someone was talking about one of these message forums / review sites that are for mainstream cosmetic surgery. Come on. Is that really where you want to get your information? And this is my forum. Take it with a grain of salt. Know there's good information on there. Interact with each other, but do not make a decision based on what you read on any forum anywhere in the world. Even the forums who are supporting us, meaning who are running this, who are airing our broadcast. They are all there just for educational purposes. Initial education. You need to do your own due diligence before you make a final decision to have surgery. Think of the word. It's surgery. It's not a procedure. It's not a fucking dental visit. It's surgery. American Hair Loss Association is AmericanHairLoss.org. And, of course, the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons is IAHRS.org. Until next time, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening. Good night.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.